This is most knights are overrated. Now, the knights I will be talking about in particular, we all should know because they're the oldest ones. Warden, Peacekeeper, Lawbringer, and Conqueror. F's in chat for Lawboy, he just got himself a nerf instead of any rework, and oh boy, I hope they don't do what they did with PK and just leave him in the dust with a terrible rework. Now you're probably thinking, well, no, they're not overrated. It heretic Dias Volt. That's for the knight one, the knight stereotypical players. But if you are a samurai, a Viking, or a Wulin player, this is probably a agreed on opinion. Although most of the community here are knights. Now, the reason I say these characters are overrated, especially Warden, is because their movesets are pretty bland. I mean, PK has been confirmed to be one of the worst characters in this entire game. I mean, I like her design, I like all that about her, but oh boy, I have to agree with people saying she's bad. Because a lot of her problems come with her moveset. She doesn't have much, she doesn't have any openers, and she's basically resorted to either using cancerous tactics or to die. I do know, and you're probably all yelling at me saying, no, you can be skillful with her, blah blah blah. Yeah, I've talked to a Rep 60 PK on the For Honor Amino, and she has claimed that PK is not worth playing, like, not worth playing, but not worth playing skillfully with all those fancy mix-ups. As I've heard, it's not worth playing PK that way, just use cancerous tactics. And I guess you could be more skillful if you kind of pulled some mind games and actually predicted crap and all that, but otherwise, PK is just left at a bare minimum. And, you know, not entirely overrated, but definitely somewhat by some of the newer players because they'll say she's broken and overpowered and all that crap. Yawn. Why don't you say that about Orochi yet? Lawbringer. Now, people have described this guy as bad a lot of the times in the past, but for some reason he's probably one of the most popular knights in the faction, and right up there with Warden, Scent, and Black Prior at the moment. And I will admit I do like Lawbringer's look, although I don't like his place. I can work with his playstyle, but it's definitely not favorable, and that's probably partially due to the rework, partially due to just me not liking his playstyle, but either way, though, I don't like what they did to him, but he's still overly popular because he's not that good. I don't see why people keep trying to push that he's a good character and all that blah blah blah. He is not that good. And they don't push that he's a good character. I'm sorry, that's false information, but I don't see why so many people like this character. I don't see why. I mean, I kind of find him fun. I mean, love being that choo-choo train. And he's mainly just a goofy character overall. You know, funny. You gotta love him. I mean, he's the one with probably the most ridiculous old emotes in the game. Gotta love this. Almost every Lawbringer you'll see has this meme lord emote. And honestly, Lawbringer is definitely a cool character, but I will have to say, a lot of the times he's overrated by people who do play him, and they do know what they're doing. They'll probably make him out to be much better than he actually is, just because they're good with him. You know, because, like, he'll be bad at the start, that's for sure, and I know that he can be played well. It's just a lot of the times people that do play characters well can tend to overrate them. Conqueror, I mean, he's probably the best one out of these four. Everyone's gonna yell at me that no, it's Warden, but I mean, Conqueror has some pretty fast lights and some fairly decent mix-ups if you actually know what you're doing. And I know that sounds crazy to the people that don't know that you can feint things with all guard. Yeah, that's right. That's the whole kind of point there. It's meant to act like a bulwark feint, although it's a soft feint. I think, no, it's just feinting in general because he doesn't have a normal feint. By the way, though, you can throw it down and get yourself that 30 shield uppercut thing, or you can feint it into the shield bash, or throw that down, whip out other stuff, like turn it into his own. There's a lot of stuff you can do with Conqueror that's actually skillful. And he is definitely, he's not as overrated, kind of like PK, you know, people know he's not the best, but he could still probably be a bit overrated, depending on who you're talking to and who's playing the character. Now for the king of overrated, Warden. Now, everyone says this is probably the best character in the game, or something, like, people say he's A tier. He's not even with his rework. He's not A tier. Not at all. No. And you're all probably going to be screaming at me that, oh, he's like S tier with that rework. He's the best character. No. I mean, he only got one thing out of that rework, and that's like new animations, a different punish-ish, and like that, what is it, Valiant Breakthrough, I believe is what it's called, and those are actually new, and not just unblockable stats effect on a heavy chain finisher. Either way, though, Warden has very undermined potential. He doesn't have much potential. He's not that good at all in most situations, and I mean, I guess he can put some decent pressure when he's ganking people, but overall, he doesn't really have much. He just has basic mix-ups and feints to zones and lights and all that. He really has nothing. Like, nothing at all, and especially now that Raider got his rework, and he's not that much better, but he's still good. Like he's still, like, before, you know, Raider was kind of seen as the worst Vanguard, but oh boy, he is more destructive now, and he definitely, if you remember my old video, I kind of tiered the Vanguard, and I said Tiandi and Kensei were about the same level, just depending on who's playing them. Now Raider falls with Kensei, Tiandi, like, they're all above Warden, and just they're ranked based on your skill with them, rather than just, like, actual moveset-wise, because his feints, his mix-ups, all that crap, much better now. I will definitely admit that, and then, of course, you compare that to Kensei, just, you got all that crap, and now, I don't say that none of these characters can be skillful, that, like, I can respect a Conk main, Lawbringer main, and a PK main. I can't respect a Warden main. Sorry to all you Warden mains out there, but I hardly can respect one of these guys because they're either very salty, like salty honorable types, where they focus either so much on being honorable and, oh, I'm so honorable, you need to follow the honor code, never gank, never ledge, even in 4v4s. They're just really salty with it when you don't follow it, because there's no problem with having your honor codes and, like, 2v2s, 1v1s, there's no problem with that, as long as you don't get salty about it. I mean, one of my main rules with the Bloody Rose, as you've heard, it's don't be salty. I can't stand it, and I don't want to hear, well, I mean, it's fine to be a little bit angry at something being spammed, and something that's just going to get frustrating overall, but don't go hate mail salty, oh, you're trash, like, just let all that anger out on, like, some bots or something, or some character that's not as just annoying and frustrating to deal with. And honestly, I would say I could respect a Warden main only if they weren't either trash talking salties, or like they're actually someone that is not going to be trash talking, being salty, being overly honorable, or something like that. And even then, almost every Warden, like, Warden is just terrible at top tier, or, like, play, and you're probably all yelling at me that, no, he's, like, the best character in higher tier play, what are you talking about? No, he's one of the worst characters in top tier play, for a main reason that those dashes, predictable, and I mean, very much you're gonna get dash countered if you're up against a Berserker, a PK, well, maybe not a PK, a Shaman. Definitely Kensei. I mean, I've made an entire meme based off of how dodgy I am with Kensei. There's a lot of characters, like, Warden is going to just, I mean, I can say that Scent can be overrated sometimes, but I mean, it's not like, oh, Scent is a god sort of thing. I mean, maybe at lower tiers he can be, but like, people that are good with Scent, they won't try to push him as being this really good character. They'll say, yeah, he's decent, but he's not, like, God tier, S tier. And then, you never even hear people talk about Glad, and Glad is actually a really good character. I'd say, if you can do her mix-up, she's probably one of the most viable knights in the faction, just depending on who you're talking about, who you're playing, and what you're doing specifically. Blackfriar can do fairly decently too, and maybe a little overrated, but otherwise, he is pretty good, like, you know. But, like, these two can partially be overrated by the sight of people playing them, and then the sight of people playing them Scent, and then Blackfriar's more of like, oh, yeah, he's so good, not really. I mean, he is good, he's fairly decent, he can do well in 4v4s and all that, just, he's not the best. I mean, he's, no character is truly, like, that good, but he's not as overrated as this fucker right here. I can hardly stand Warden anymore just because, thank God, like, almost nobody plays Warden, actually. People are, like, playing Sakura, or they're playing, like, Kensei, or they're most likely going to be playing a Wulin, or some type of DLC character. They're not playing these types of characters anymore. But, oh boy, Warden is annoying to see. I hate Warden, just because, like, I think Warden is trash as a character, completely overrated, and seeing one just makes me, it infuriates me. Kind of like how if I see, like, a Sakura or a Blackfriar, because they're both execution stealers in Breach, I hate to see them in Breach for that reason. Because in Breach, if you know, there's only one way to get health, and that's either if you have feats, the health pad, or executions, and I usually don't play too many characters that do have health feats, so, yeah, you aren't going to see me pop in second wind with Scent when I could easily just get, like, a body count, or a bounty hunter sort of thing out of it, or, an execution. Now, with Blackfriar, I don't care, because I don't even go for executions. I'll avoid stealing executions from people unless they've stolen some from anyone else, because then I'll steal it, but otherwise, I'm just like, yeah, let me just heal up with my little tiptoe by the window. Sakura's a kill stealer. Like, Sakura and Blackfriar, they're kill stealers, and I kind of get infuriated to see them. Anyway, that's kind of branching off topic, though. These characters are definitely overrated. Like, especially the main ones, because PK is made out to be broken by a lot of the newer players, and the popular thing that you'll hear going around is that PK is a very broken character, but that's completely retarded. That's about as bad as saying the game is pay to win. Pay to win? Really? No. Lawbringer, I mean, you can be good with him, and I think the people that do play him can glorify him a little bit, but I think most Lawbringer mains will admit, you know, he's not the best character. He's more of just meant for that dumb fun rather than actually being like a very decent, very good mix-up potential, good 1v1 scenario type character. Conqueror, I don't really think ever gets that overrated. And I'm mostly saying that, like, he's not so much like, oh yeah, he's a god. I mean, he probably is overrated to some extent, but otherwise, he's not, like, too overly, like, betrayed as, like, a god. This character right here, this motherfucker is, like, way too overrated. Too much. Just stop. Alright? Anyway, I'll end this stream.